Welcome back to South Philly Sauce, an Audacy original brought to you by 94 WIP and Jack Daniels. Ashlyn, Sullivan, Al Morganti here with you with a very special guest this week. Brodes is here with us from 94 WIP, and they are fresh off their debate of whether they believe Rick Tocchet was the right decision for the Flyers. And Brodes, I listened back. You've gotten a lot of grief. I thought you did a fantastic job with your debates. And people will say I'm a homer for this because Al is my coworker daily in my life. But I do think Al won the debate. But you put up some really good points. I will say that.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, listen, I'm very disappointed in myself. Okay, I went back to the tape and I could have done a better job. But here's the thing: it's a 7-game series in theory, and I lost game 1. So it takes 4 to take me down, and we'll see how I recover.
Very fair.
Yeah, and when you're 72, you don't deal in 7-game series. You just go game to game. That's number 1. Number 2, it wasn't close. It was, I don't know, Ashlyn, you might not be old enough to have watched Bambi versus Godzilla, but that's basically what you had here. And it's all because Brodes was being too nice. It was all because he didn't want to go in and throw a haymaker early. You got to throw the haymaker early. You got to come in with everything you got. Had some strong points. Just go right there. The best way to win a debate, like, I don't care if you can go to college and all that stuff. All you need to do to win a debate is watch one movie, the Eminem movie. You win a debate by going all Slim Shady on people and taking all their stuff early. That's all you need to know. It's better than any college you'll ever go to. Watch that movie and you'll know how to go and get somebody early.
Brodes, Al is a big believer lately of not going to college and just you don't need education. And just, if you watch the Eminem movie, then you're set for life. You don't even have to go to school.
Listen, the last thing I thought we were going to get to 7 seconds into this program is 8 Mile. But now we did it.
Right.
And that, folks, is working with Al Morganti daily. You never know what's going to come at you. But Brodes, I think your argument, and we'll get to it quickly, is when I talk to Flyers fans who are in their 20s, who are in their 30s, is the point you make is this is the same old Flyers. The Flyers are just running it back. They're doing what they've done our entire childhood, which is just hiring a former Flyer, and they want something new. They want something young. They want some exciting. I get that point of it. So I was with you with that, where I at least understand that backing for sure.
Yeah, and listen, the problem, I guess, for me and the conflict I have with myself is I love all of these hires individually. Like, I like Keith Jones as president. I like Danny Briere and what he did to earn that job. He was almost in Montreal, so there's respect around the league. And I like Tocchet. I don't think he's a bad hire. I think he's an NHL head coach. It's just when you form it all together and then you hear, hey, they talked to Recchi and he really wants to stay as, as an ambassador. But if in theory, hypothetically, Recchi, and then I'm going, all right, so hold on. Now it's Recchi and it's this and it's that. Even if they're all good at their jobs, it's just a broken Flyers fan thought of we're doing it again with a new wave, if that makes sense. But listen, it comes down to the talent. If they get the talent that we're looking for and they make moves, then all this is, that we're good and I'm happy. I'm a happy man.
Yeah, the whole thing with here's the problem. When you set up something and say, is it a home run? You never can have a home run with a coach. You have a potential home run. Mm-hmm. And in hockey, much as good a coach as you are, go look at coaches of the year. Look at every one of them almost, and then look at who was the best goaltender of the year. And almost always, you're going to find out that the coach of the year is a goaltending award. That's what happens. It's just the way it is. But I do think in this particular case, I look at everything through the lens of Michkov. I believe that he's that good a player, that he's got that much potential. And I look at what Tocchet did with Malkin and what he did with Kessel. And the fact that there may be another Russian. The Flyers have this pipeline to Russia for whatever reason. And Malkin, Tocchet snapped at him. And what he got out of him and how he changed him as a player and how he deals with star players. That's what I like beyond anything else. They're not getting Rick Tocchet to sell tickets. Ain't anybody under the age of, this is not happening. You might find some woman in her 60s that, like when Rick Tocchet had a mullet like I did, that's buying a ticket for Rick Tocchet. Otherwise, that ball cranium ain't selling a ticket. Ain't happening, okay? That's not the case here. It's Michkov and what Tocchet can do to Michkov.
I strangely have had a couple of women say just that in their 60s. They're like, I'm a big Rick Tocchet fan. I'm like,
well, yeah, the same people that thought
you should come to the games. You should watch our shows. Yeah, that's a debate, folks. And I see both sides, but I definitely see both sides. But Rick Tocchet, of course, and the Flyers moving on here as we get into the finals here for the Stanley Cup, and the Florida Panthers, an excellent game last night. And really, Al and I were at breakfast the other day, and I was telling Al how much I'm a fan of this Florida Panthers team, the depth they have, how much fun they are to watch. And the question is, can they do it again? And watching them in that last game, Brodes, I'm of the opinion that they can. I'm so impressed how every single night it seems like someone else shows up for them. But it's unbelievable to think that they can do this again.
I know. Yeah. And then even the acquisitions. Now, Al brought up goaltending. When you have Bob doing that, he's just amazing. So that hurts as well. But, I didn't know Seth Jones had a rebound in him. And then he goes here, and now he looks a lot different than he did in Chicago. Now it makes it a lot easier when you have the talent around you. But you just think of what that addition is. And Brad Marchand, it's unbelievable what they do. And they're down 2-0. I kid you not. I was at the studio getting ready for a 10 p.m. shift. So I get there, and I'm so happy it's 2-0 Carolina. I turn around to go grab candy from Ava's little bucket. And then I turn back around, it's 2-2. I said, what the hell? I went to get a Crunch bar, and I turned 2-2. And then it's 3-2. I'm going, come on. They're just so good. They're so deep. They play so heavy. They're so talented. They're forecheck. It's everything. They do everything so well. And, it's going to be I don't know if if Edmonton, if they get out of that Western Conference, has enough, because I just think Florida's so deep, and they got the goalie. They got everything.
They do have everything. They've got a terrific coach. They took advantage of a penalty to score on a power play. They added Seth Jones, Marchand, so they're intimidating. They're a very confident team. Yeah. The problem I have is when you say that's the model, and it's a very good model. Big guy, Bennett, that's very important to them. I assume they'll try to keep him, whatever. But you look at them, and it's not just the big guys. Like if I think you're making a mistake if you're saying we're modeling our team after the Panthers, going to get big guys. Yeah, but they got a Verhaeghe. They have so many elements, and their front office to have brought in Seth Jones. You look at him and say, you got another great defenseman there. May not be able to be there next year because Seth Jones is there. But it's like, does he fit? Marchand's a risk. You got somebody that's got the Bruins tattoo on his chest. Is he going to be just as effective? That's a really smart front office in what they did, and the different kinds of players they have. And I've been saying this for 10 years. I love McDavid. The most complete player in this league might be Barkov. I mean, this is where organizations, to me, you value small things that turn, not that he's a small thing player, but face-offs, smart plays, run this, don't take stupid penalties, huge play at big moments, crunch time. So I love the model of the bigger guys. And you're never going to get me to say you shouldn't have bigger players, especially here in Philadelphia. But it's not just that with the Panthers. They have everything. I don't know they have enough to stop Edmonton. If those two guys get wheeling, that's a difficult task. A really difficult task if that happens. But that model is way more Brodes than just big players.
Yeah, no, listen, I agree completely. And yeah, because I heard Rob Brindamore getting a little bit of, I guess, some tough questions afterwards about them constantly doing all this. And then you get to the stage and it just looks different. But yeah, you're right about Barkov. He's one of those, probably the most underrated, phenomenal player in the league that just doesn't get the love. He does everything right. And it's funny, I was listening to a lot of Toronto sports talk radio during the Maple Leaf series because I just find it interesting that they break down the Leafs the way we do the Eagles, and I'm going, this would never happen here. But the way they talked about Matthews and how he does so much outside of just scoring goals, but they related it to Barkov. I'm thinking, this is Austin Matthews, who's supposed to pipe in 50 a year and score in the second round for you. So I don't know if I see exactly what they're trying to throw out there. Barkov's a different machine. He does it differently everywhere. Even if you're trying to sew up Matthews without scoring goals, he is a juggernaut, and it all really starts with him.
It does. It's a fun team to watch. I'm disappointed in the national like the TV numbers. It's just not a big market. And Carolina, to be honest, love Rod Brindamore, but it's a tough watch sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always said they needed something else. So, Rantanen, to me, it's still, I can't believe they got a guy and lose him like that. That's a big difference.
Yeah.
It's crazy to see. You've always needed this, and you go and get a guy that doesn't want to be there. Like that's you can still look at it and see that's really what they needed. Aho did some of it. I don't know if he can go to that level, but that's where I thought they tried 2 years ago with that Kuznetsov, who lasted 20 games, whatever. I told Ashlyn at the time, it's like a housewife buying Louboutins. When you go get a guy like that to come in and try to change the style, whatever it is. But they need something like that. Frankly, they do.
Yeah, they do. I was hoping it would be our local friend Eric Robinson. But, fourth line can only do so much.
They can only do so much. And Al he's always money with the comparisons. They always just make sense when he brings them out. But it was interesting. We heard, obviously, Rob Brindamore getting us very tough questions because you're at the point now with this Carolina team. It's like, what else do they need? Are they ever going to get over the hump? How long can they keep this going? What else do they have to add? Very similar to, I think, a Toronto in a situation like that where they've reached the highest of high. And it's like, how are you going to get over the hump? But Paul Maurice, I thought, really interesting with the Florida Panthers bringing up a point about the handshake line, which at first when you hear it, it makes you scratch your head. But the way he put it, I'm kind of getting behind it.
Yeah, well, Brodes, he's been there with line. I mean, no matter what league you play in, I don't care if you're playing Pee-wee. At the end of a series, you get the handshakes. And the point he made is he talked to Rod Brindamore and Chief Berube before. When he doesn't think the coaches should be in the handshake lines. I agree with him. I love that handshake line. I get mad at the TV when they pull off of it, but I don't need to see. And he made the great point, Brodes, that it's not just the coaches, the head coaches. There's like 10 guys in tracksuits you never heard of. I have
a lot of skills coaches, like 6 of them.
Yeah, I actually like the idea of it should just be. You know what the strength of this league is? When the NFL awards that trophy that everybody wants for the Eagles, whatever it is, the Super Bowl trophy, whatever, I don't know the name. Okay, who do they give it to?
The owner.
It's stupid. Okay, the NHL gives it to the players. The players are the focus. That's what makes it special. You skate it around. And I think this could also, when you're talking about the handshake line, it should just be the players.
Yeah, I like it too. I agree that it gets expanded into all these other coaches. Now, if you told me you could find a way where it's the 2 head coaches, because in a way they're involved in the battle too of strategic moves, and maybe you change up the lineup, maybe you're switching lines. Like you're in the day-to-day grind as well. So you could convince me that Brindamore and Maurice maybe at the back end give a nice handshake at center ice. But yeah, all the other stuff. But you're so right about the cup. I actually had a recent talk about this on the air of like, I don't think other teams understand the power of what it means to dream of lifting the cup. Like, sure, you want to win a Super Bowl, but when you think about winning a Super Bowl, it's winning the Super Bowl, not so much anything that has to do with the trophy other than maybe a picture. Like we're all 3, 4, 5, 6 years old in the driveway with the orange Milek hockey ball with the plastic hockey net, ripping it in the driveway all day long, pretending it's Game 7, and then we kiss the cup. It's the cup. It's the cup. It's not. You're not happy to win a championship. You're happy to win the cup. Yeah. That means so much to us that no sport can relate to it. They just can't.
They can't. It's like every year there's an MVP in the league. The MVP every year is not a person. It's the Stanley Cup. It's as simple as that. It's the most valuable trophy to me in sports because your name. You get your name on it. That you kill yourself to get your name on a Stanley Cup, and that's what's really, really cool to me. And that's why like all the players. But think I'm swayed. I agree. The head coaches, it would have been nice if you could have told me just the two head coaches were out there, especially if they're ex-players or somebody in that line played for that. Obviously, there were team guys that played for both lines there. But in that case, like if Berube, I liked him, and I would love to see him in a line with an ex-player in that situation. But Maurice, to me, has become, I don't know, man. I didn't know he had this philosophical thing. I'm like, now I start to wonder if other coaches won't get annoyed by it.
I bet they will.
Because it's really, really thoughtful and funny, really funny stuff that I guess when you're riding a wave, you might as well ride the wave, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't seem egotistical to me at all. It kind of makes fun of himself a little bit, but it's like
dorky. He's like quirky.
Yeah. And it makes me sad for the sport that there's characters like this that somehow don't get the national attention that the rest of the other people do, that don't have half of the humility or the philosophy that these guys have after a series like that.
Yeah, I'm with it for sure. And the Flyers obviously have a long way to go in order to kiss the cup and do all the fun things that we talked about, like bringing the cup to elbow room and all those great things. But when you think of the priorities for the Flyers, Bros, gosh, there's so many. There's so many. Centermen, defensemen. But Al and I always talk about the need to fix this goaltending situation, because it is a situation. We're at the point where our last interview with John Tortorella, he's telling us that Samuel Ersson, he believes, is a 1B, which I think we all can agree that he has starting goaltending caliber talent. But the backup situation was such a disaster that you put him in such a bad spot. I'm of the belief that they need to bring in a veteran presence to help out Sam Ersson. This Carter Hart situation is something we're very much paying attention to, but they got to do something, is the moral of the story.
They have to, because I think if you're trying to have some of these guys develop and grow and work on, their defensive zone discipline and all that stuff, you can't have Fedotov and Kolosov in net and this, and even Ersson at times. I mean, I didn't think he was sharp enough consistently enough for my liking. So, it's just, you can't get beat with the shot on the outside of the dots and then everything just gets blown up. So I like the veteran presence move. I think it's someone who can hold the fort down. It's like going after an NFL quarterback, and as a bridge guy, you need to go get a bridge quarterback that you can survive with to maybe win 9 games or so, where you're not falling apart winning 3.
Kirk Cousins.
Go get a Kirk Cousins in the net and do something like that. No brainer. You cannot run anything back similar to what we watched last year.
Yeah, but you look at the names. I go through the free agent and I look at the names, and I'm wondering, where do you go with this? Like, I don't. You want somebody that's very good, obviously. You want him to be your number one guy. I mean, I like Vancouver. Everybody's going to now. Tocchet's here now, and they had a pretty good goaltender there. Kid from BU, I think it was. Demko.
Yeah, BC. Don't you dare. Don't you dare. He's a BC Eagle.
So Demko, I look at him and go, yeah, he really had a hell of a year previously. But he's got that knee injury that really worries me, because you're probably going to have to sign him. It's on the unless he agrees because he likes Tocchet to come for a year or whatever. I just don't know with that injury. I look around and I go, I like to pick on teams that don't seem to know what they're doing. So I always look to Buffalo. And so who's that? Ukko-Pekka, I call him Ukko-Pekka left alone, because nobody's ever defending in front of him. But I mean, he's a pretty good goalie, UPL, right?
Oh, yeah, you never know. I mean, even guys like Stolars is helping out, right? You never know, right?
If you were looking around and said, what organization can maybe I pick their pocket? I'm like, well, their pockets are inside out. Why not?
Well, they have to. I mean, they have to look at stuff like that. They just have to.
But and you're going to have to do you. Much as I think you stick with the program and what's going on, you have to play for this season too. These fans aren't going to just accept like another year of no more subtraction, obviously. But let's have some big plus, something that we can say, you know what, that's an upgrade here. Luchenko will probably be here. I think that's going to happen. But I think you got to look at the D, and then you're right. You got to look at that goalie, and I'm curious what's going to happen with him. I'm curious if they make a risky move. I think with Demko, and seems to me that he would leave. This is where the strength of Tocchet comes in. If you really were interested, I think you might have an inside track there.
Hey, I'm all in. I'm all in. Now, I know I'm not the bar here, but he would skate a few times down here in the summer. I couldn't get it. I couldn't get it by him.
You are the bar, Brodes. You are the bar.
Well, if you're trying to tell me, no, you. I don't know that I don't know that would be the selling point. I know one thing. I'm not going on NBC and saying this is a great move.
Brodes couldn't get by. But Ashlyn couldn't either. My God, she's talent. Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I guess we can try. We can try that and see what happens.
I'm with it. I'm sold. Sounds like a plan to me. Just bring in someone for us to get excited about. Brodes, thank you so much for joining us. This was fun.
Oh, this was amazing. Anytime. Let me know.
Love it. And that is South Philly Sauce, an Audacy original, brought to you by 94 WIP and Jack Daniels. We'll see you next week.